So how many years have you been the AD over at Nicholls?
Yeah, so I've been there for 4 years. This is my 4 years is my fifth football season, which is so crazy, right? But starting my fifth year, I just entered into my fifth year in July.
Cool.
Yeah.
Where were you before?
So my story is crazy. I was a pharmaceutical medical device rep for 15 years. But I was a football coach. I coached at Nicholls. I coached quarterbacks there. I coached high school. And so when I went into pharmaceutical and medical device sales, I never left Nicholls State University, whether it was raising money or helping football. And it was my dream job to go back and be the AD. I always wanted to be the AD. And so it opened, and I applied, and Dr. Kloon hired me as his AD. And so here I am with a lot of pride for the place that given me so much. I'm a first generation graduate of Nicholls State University, for my family. And so every one of my children graduated from there, and I got one left to graduate high school, and then hopefully we'll see where he ends up. So.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
So you were a football coach?
I was.
And then you became a pharmaceutical sales
I
coach?
did.
Okay.
I went from football to pharmaceutical sales and then to medical device sales.
What did you get into pharmaceutical sales?
So I was money.
Okay.
Right. So I had I was three kids at the time, and my wife and I just figured it was time to go and do something else, and figured I'd give it a shot, and got into pharmaceutical sales and had a successful time there, and went into medical device and had our little boy, and it was a perfect opportunity to be at home and make a decent living, and so that's why I really got into it.
When you applied for the AD job, did you expect to get it?
Yeah, so it's crazy. My expectation is when I apply for something that I'm going to get it. But it wasn't out of cockiness. It was the fact that I bled red and gray. I never was not around. Everybody knew me there. I was friends with the old AD. Coach Rebo coached me, and then I also coached with him. So we had he's one of my best friends. So to be able to have a working relationship with all of the coaches that were there, I figured that I had an opportunity in the end. And I think my passion behind why I wanted to be there was the reason that Dr. Kloon wanted me to be his AD.
I'd say that's more important than having a fancy degree. You love the school.
Yeah, listen, I can say it all the time. Whether it's leadership and management, it's about people at the end of the day, and that's what I kept expressing over and over again. Like, I wasn't a sales rep when I was a coach, right? And so somebody had to give me an opportunity, and they did, and I became a successful sales rep. So I just figured if you have an opportunity to deal with people and you deal with them the right way, good things will happen. And that's what we have the opportunity to do, with impact the student athletes, and me being able to coach coaches on leadership and helping them move forward with their programs.
What's maybe the funniest or most difficult thing you've come across as being the AD you didn't expect?
I think the craziest thing is that I didn't expect that parents would want to talk to me, right? And it's funny, but they do, right? They're still involved. I think probably the craziest thing is I didn't think the job was easy. I took it because I wanted something more challenging, right? It's the hardest job I've ever had in my life. It's the most rewarding, but every day there's something, right? So I really am excited about that, because you like to be a problem solver. And so we have the opportunity to do that every day. And if you sit back and be a armchair quarterback, right? You're sitting in the rocker, right? You can always say what people should do. I probably did that a little bit when I was not an AD. And when you sit in the seat, it is totally different. And so there's a lot of respect there. And I think that now when you sit in the seat, that I've learned so much, and talked to people, and even apologize to some people about, some things that I might have thought that they could do, and there's processes and reasons why they can't. And so I think for people to truly understand what happens in the athletic director's office is pretty neat. And so, but the craziest thing I would think is that parents still want to talk to you. I think it's just unbelievable, because people don't think that happens at this level.
Yeah, I get you. How have you made this kind of yours? How have you put your personal touch on Nicholls athletics as the AD?
So at the end of the day, it's about family, and I always talk about that. Tavine wasn't here, our head basketball coach. He was a player, He was a coach as an assistant, and I hired him back as a head coach. JP was a player, was an assistant, and I hired him back as a women's head coach. Our soccer coach, she was just hired. She was a player, an assistant, and hired back. I think it's a very special place, and I think the one way that I made it mine is by the culture of truly being family. Not that you have to graduate from Nicholls in order to get a job there. The simple fact is that you have to understand that place, because expectations can't be that we're LSU, right? We are Nicholls State University, and we have to be proud of who we are and to accept that. And so I think that's part of it, is I know who we are. I don't do anything to think that I'm something else. We stay within our lane. We keep pressing to be successful, and I think we get that just with the people that we hire and bring in.
Yeah. I'm curious. I've always been curious.
The best AD in the South, and I'm telling you, you heard it here first. Hey, I love the rest of you all, though.
And that is our commissioner, right? And but it's about family at the end of the day. What question did you have?
Well, I was going to say, when you're making a football schedule, for example, what's the process of, like, how much of a role do you play in that? Picking who you play, money negotiations?
So it's awesome. The first 2 years, it literally was just me. I did it. I wanted to know everything about it. My first 2 years, so it's me and Coach Rebo. Just us in the room, me on the phone. We have this, system that we use in order to be able to get it, like who's playing who's open, all that stuff. And so with that system, he and I were on the phone, making phone calls, doing all that stuff. You can imagine that COVID hit. We played football in the spring. You can imagine what our schedule looked like because people were dropping us, right? But that, after those 2 years, then I took it. I brought Andrew in, and now Andrew, our deputy AD, really handles it with Coach Rebo. All three of us sit in the room, and that's how it's handled. So he makes fun of me because he always says I give him the hardest schedule, but he agrees to it, right? But sometimes that's what we have to do, to have the opportunity to play LSU. That's when their date was. We already had a game with Sacramento State. La Tech was open. We needed to play 2 D1s because it helps our budget, right? And so, that's why we do that type of stuff, and grateful that we have a coach that understands that in order for us to keep moving in the right direction, this is what we need to do. So, so that's how that's how the calendar's done, and it's usually 4 to 5 years in advance.
Right, okay. And you literally will get like $1 million just to go play?
So I think the most we've ever received was right at about 780, right? FCS to a Power 5 or 4 school, 750 to 800 is somewhere around there. If they played a UL, it'll be somewhere around 1.1, 1.5. Because it's a FBS, right? So, but we do. And so this year, we'll be somewhere around a million, 1.1 in revenue off of buy games.
And that money goes to all the athletic teams?
It does. It really goes, and we count it within it. When we know that we're getting these contracts, it just goes right into the budget. And so that's how it works. And so it's spread across the whole budget and helps everybody out, just as basketball does the same.
Love it.
Yeah.
So this year the football team's got LSU, like we mentioned, and Southern as well.
Yeah.
So how excited are you for those two, and when you schedule them?
Yeah, so it was really excited. So Verge and I are really close, like family at LSU, and so to be able to get on the phone with him and just work this deal out was awesome because we're the only school that hadn't played him in the state. So in 2020 we were supposed to, COVID hit, SEC said you're only playing SEC schools, right? And so to have that happen, and then to get on the phone with Roman Banks at Southern. When I was at Nicholls, we played Southern every year. It was a big deal, right? And I think that was probably for 15 to 20 years that was happening, and then it stopped. This will be the first time that we've played them probably since late 90s.
Oh, okay.
Early 2000s. I think that's the last time we played them. And so to be able to do this, for me and him to get back and really start talking about how we can bring this back. We play them this year, and then they come to us in 27. So looking forward to that rivalry again. It was always so awesome to have them it was always such. I mean, that was just for us. It was like a national championship game, right? Because they were always so good, right? Winning the SWAC, and at some times we were not so good, but that one game was so important to us. So it's really, really important to be in the city of Baton Rouge and play those two schools. You got kids who go to Nicholls State University, who families live here, now they can go right down the street to watch them play.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
It will be.
Hopefully people remember. I'm sure they will.
That's right. That's
right.
right.
A lot of folks that have been around here for a long
Yes.
time, they'll remember the pageantry of that game.
No doubt. And I'm telling you, we used to bring stands in the end zones. I mean, we hold 10,000, and I think we used to have about 15,000 at the game. And so you can imagine what that felt like at Nicholls State University. Yeah.
So a lot of exciting things happening across all the sports. You bring in Brent Herring. What made him a good hire?
Yeah, so, I mean, just look at his background, right? And I know, we talk about him being right here with Jay and, Coach Johnson and him and their relationship and where they come from. But, his years at BYU, being an associate head coach, talking about recruiting and having the top 25 recruiting class and being able to do all of that. Listen, if you talk to him, you hear him. He's a great person. And I always talk about that. I always think that wins follow that, right? If you're a good person, that's what happens. And so after interviewing him and talking to him, man, it was 3 years. It's funny because this is like the third time that we crossed paths. He applied when Mike applied the first time, and I hired Coach Silva. And we thought that we might lose Coach Silva a year earlier, and Brent and I were on the phone then. And then Coach Silva stayed and went back-to-back conference championships. And then when he left this year, it was just like a perfect opportunity for us to make it work. And so here we are. I'm so excited about what he's got coming, and he's excited about being there. And that's one of the big things about Nicholls State University. You have to want to be there, right? And so if you want to be there, man, that place is special and it's giving so many people so many opportunities.
Yeah, love it.
Yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
You guys beat LSU in hoops last year?
We did.
That's really cool, right?
Yeah, so we beat LSU in hoops. We beat them in baseball. And I get on Tim Rebo and said, okay, buddy, you're up, right? But no, we did, and how exciting it was for a last-second shot to go in and to beat them in basketball, and Tavon Sadler, I think, to win his first big game right on the road against LSU and to play in a conference championship. We just have so many great pieces at Nicholls State University, and it's just amazing to see that they want to be there. Yeah.
So what's coming up? What should fans be excited about? I think there's a big player development facility coming up.
Yep.
Terrell was telling me about.
Yep.
Exciting schedules, obviously.
Yes. So it's crazy. For years we hadn't had a lot built at Nicholls, and now if you look, we're about to have a women's sports performance center that is for women's soccer and women's and for softball. We're about to have a clubhouse for men's baseball, for baseball. So just think about those things that has never happened. We have a covered practice facility and a new facility for football. And so a lot of things that are happening around campus that people should really, really be excited about. And if they hadn't been to campus, they need to come see it because they wouldn't know it, right? And so, and then the exciting schedules that we have, right? We have cross country at home. It really is one of the nicest places that you want to see at the Forum, to come see us host a cross country meet. But, baseball, LSU, showing up to the DID, right? Us coming back here. And so that, so many great things. Our men's basketball team having 2 D1s show up at Nicholls to play, right? That don't happen much. And so they have a really good calendar. They have a really good schedule, I should say, and looking forward to see what's in store for the Colonels.